My best friend lied and manipulated me and her brother to keep us from getting together. All right, I'm gonna try and keep this as short as possible and changing all the names and locations because my friend also listens to the podcast casually. Honestly, I need advice because I have no clue what to do. I, 25F, have been friends with Anna, 25F, for about 3 years. We met in a speed friend dating thing and instantly hit it off. She was super sweet, and we had a lot in common and pretty instantly became close friends. We live in the same city, and I introduced her to my group of girls, since she didn't really have any other friends. I go to college on the other side of the country, so when summer was over, I moved back to my college town, but Anna and I remained close and texted daily. At Christmas, I came home and went over to her family's house where I met John, 23M, her brother, for the first time. We had like a vibe at first sight. I can't explain it, but we kept staring at each other, and it felt like I'd met him before. I had broken my wrist and was in a cast, and he jumped up and took my jacket and purse. Throughout the night, he was so kind, and we got along so well, he even carried my plate to the table for me, even though I could have used my other hand. Myself, Anna, and John decided to go out for drinks and invited a few other people. John and I were attached at the hip the whole night and connected on every level, except physically LOL. There were so many things, but for anonymity, I'll leave it at that. We began to talk daily and go into a bit of a talking stage somewhat immediately. They were going on a family trip after Christmas, and then I was going back to my college town so we wouldn't be able to see each other. During their vacation, Anna was being dry and not texting while John was updating me on what was going on. On the last day, Anna sent me a long paragraph saying that it's weird I've been talking to her brother so much, saying it's creepy because we were 23 at the time and he was 21, and how much she hates it. I'm so non-confrontational, and it's something I'm working on, so I said no, we're just talking, it's casual. She replied, so you're not gonna date him? You don't see him that way. I replied, no, don't worry. I didn't hear from John the next day and just chalked it up to a travel day. I had moved back to my college town and sent him photos of a nature walk I went on. He never replied. I was so hurt and also stubborn, so I didn't want to double text right away. My roommates convinced me to give him 48 hours and then send a message. But Anna texted me, ugh, John is back together with his ex-girlfriend and she's coming over for dinner. Huh? I was shocked. At this point, Anna had been one of my best friends for over a year, so I obviously believed her and thought that John was just an asshole. Anna continued on and said he had been talking about getting back together with her for a while, she was abroad, etc. I was fucking gutted. I had never experienced the type of connection I had with John before, so even though it was like a month-long talking stage, I was so upset. I eventually moved on, came home summer, Christmas, etc., and managed to avoid him. I even casually dated someone else, but if I'm honest, I never fully got over John. He reached out a few times when he knew I was home, but I never replied. So eventually the messages stopped. And here is where the most interesting part begins. I returned to that meeting that turned everything upside down. A year and a half later, chance brought us together again. It would seem that time should have erased everything. But no, when I saw him at the bar, it literally took my breath away. He was standing among his friends, laughing, looking a little older, more confident, and frankly, even more attractive